am going to have to cut this into, I am going to have to cut these videos into separate parts. But continuing on with Suino Kata. So I think, when the biggest mistake that that occurs, especially at the end there with this shitouchi, right, at the end of Suino Kata, is it either becomes too linear or too circular, right? So if I assume the midway position here, so I've done my jodonuke, right? I've shifted forward and I've put my hand into the crook of my elbow. I'm going to show the camera here. A lot of the times what you see is either this or you see this, right? Now, you don't want to make it too circular. You don't want to make it too linear, right? There's one saying that I learned when I was training in Japan. So, shito roughly translates to sword hand, right? Now, you think about this motion, right? This kind of cutting diagonally with a sword, right? But the way that you actually want to land it, think more like an axe, right? So that's what I learned when I was training over there. This is called the sword hand, but you really want to strike like you would with an axe, right? So think axe handle is here, this is the head of the axe, right? So even though this is named after a sword technique, you really want to strike almost, with the force of an axe, right? And the same thing with the trajectory, right? You don't swing an axe like this, right? You don't swing an axe like this, right? You really want to come straight through, and it's not this opening up kind of motion, right? You want to come straight through, and it changes trajectory very slightly towards the end of the movement, right? You don't want to open up right away, right? Here I have a hand in front of me, I have two hands in front of me. If I open up too soon, at some point, I'm going to be open during this movement, right? So I want to stay, again, nice and close. As soon as I step through, I want to make that window where I'm open as small as I can. Here, right? I like to think I'm using my fingertips to frame the outside of somebody's face or somebody's head, right? If you're doing this with a mirror in front of you, same exact thing. Use those fingertips to trace the outside, and that should give you a nice, tight, small circle to work with, right? So I'm going to show this one more time, a little smoother this time. Suino Kata. It's, ni, sa. Right? From here, it's, ni, san, shi, and then from here, what I usually show my guys is we reposition back to center, and then we repeat on the opposite side. Showing from the side view now. Again, Suino Kata, it's, ni, san. It's, ni, san. Shi, go. Right, always repositioning in the middle between kata every time. If you want to, you can also just continue on the angle that you're going with. That's going to give you a little more kind of a zigzag movement across the mats. Works just as well. I just prefer everyone coming back to the middle, especially since a lot of the people that we have here are a lot newer. So continuing off that, we have kano kata. So kano kata, rather, I actually forgot to explain the last one. Suino kata roughly translates to water form. Kano kata roughly translates to fire form. I'm going to explain all of this at the end of this, but really this is just a fancy way of saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 Sanshin no kata. They're named like this for a very specific reason, and that has to do a lot with the time period. But the third form that we're going to do now is called kano kata, or fire form. It starts the exact same way as Suino kata, but it changes pretty much right towards the end. So we're going to start again. I've just shown this. It's, ni, san. We're going to go right to Shoshi no Kamae. Again, initiating with Jodan-uke, trying to make sure that this and this end at the same time. It's, and then when you step through, this time instead of this, right, instead of striking this way with the palm facing up, I'm going to strike this way with this with urashito, ura shito uchi with our palm facing down. So again, sui no kata ends with this, ka no kata ends here, right? And this is striking basically to opposite sides of the neck, or you can also think the temple. Side view for ka no kata, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And repositioning into the middle between, or you can do it in the more zigzag type of pattern. Few small things to watch out for when you're practicing this on your own. Excuse me. Probably the biggest thing I would say is movement of the feet, right? So when you're in Shoshin no Kamae, you can do this without having practiced Joranuke, you can do this without practicing Sanshin no Kata, you can practice this as just a solo drill all on its own, is stepping with the weight on that back leg. From here, I don't want to pin my front leg in place and just do this, right? As I was taught, the feet always move together, right? Where there's one step, there's always a second step. You never really want one foot to move individually at any given time. Now, this is really only from the basic standpoint. That could change later on, but I really don't want to pin that front leg in place. What I really want is to keep the width of my kamae consistent. So from here you can see that this is the width of my stance. I don't want to do this necessarily, right, and leave that in place. This is leaving this leg in a bad position. What I want from here, combined with the Joranuke, is 1, 2, right? And that's going to keep my kamae, the width of my stance, nice and consistent, right? I don't want to pin this in place and leave it behind. I want to keep everything nice and solid here and step with both of my feet essentially together, right? Obviously one is going to move first and the second one's going to follow, but I still want 1, 2. What I don't want is 1, right? And make those steps nice and light, right? You don't want to stomp, right? That's going to take away, 1, that's going to make your legs really tired, and 2, that's also going to take away a lot from the fluidity of your movement, right? Just like I was talking about before in the atemi and the warming up portion, right? Relaxation, fluidity, that's going to translate into power, right? You don't want to rob yourself of power by really putting out this movement that's taking a lot of energy out of you and then try to propel yourself into a second movement, right? That's taking a lot of fluidity away from it and also taking away a lot of power. Okay, so we've just gotten through Chi no Kata, Sui no Kata, and Ka no Kata. The fourth of the Sanshin no Kata is called Fu no Kata, or wind form. Now, important to note that Chi no Kata begins with no initial uke movement. Sui no Kata and Ka no Kata begin with Joron uke. The last two, Fu no Kata and Ku no Kata, end with what we call Gedan uke. So Gedan means lower level. So this time, the receiving is not going to be up here. It's going to be down here, right? It's going to be down by my hip. So from Shoshi no Kamae, from here, it looks like I'm just trying to trace a J with my front arm, and it's not coming up and then down. It's staying where it is. It's dropping straight down. It's slightly coming back up and outside of my stance a little tiny bit, right? And again, just like with Joranuke, I want to combine that with a step, right? And again, and just like with Joranuke, I want my step and I want my uke to land at the exact same time, right? Or as close as I can to the exact same time. So going forward, Fu no Kata now. So Fu no Kata starts the exact same way. Shoshi no Kamae, 1, 2, 3. Right? So I'm coming up into my nice strong Shoshi no Kamae. I'm going to take a step off on this diagonal or naname angle as I initiate with Geranuke. So I've initiated here. I'm going to step through now, or first I'm going to shift, and as I shift, the arm that I just did Geranuke with is going to open up ever so slightly. Now it's already on the outside of my knee, right? I'm just allowing it to open up a little bit. I'm going to step through, and I'm going to strike with what they call Boshiken, right? Boshiken is I'm striking with the tip of my thumb. I don't want this, right? You really don't want to catch a strike here and then break your thumb. Make a fist, plant your thumb right on top of that. I don't want that protruding super far. And then I really want to brace that thumb down because I'm going to be striking, for Fu no Kata, in this case, you're aiming approximately at the floating rib. So the very bottom rib, you're striking with the tip of your thumb, really bracing that down nice and strong. So you don't, so A, you don't hurt yourself, and B, this structure with the hand is going to give you the maximum amount of damage for this type of hand posture. So starting again, for Fu no Kata, ichi, ni, san. From here, I'm going to step off, Geranuke, slightly on the outside of my knee, shift forward, step through, and I'm going to strike with Boshiken. Then from here, returning back to Shoshi no Kamae, recentering, and repeat the exact same thing from the other side is usually what I have my guys do. Some things to watch out for. Pretty much most of the things that I've already referred to, right? Having the weight transfer, being all the way back and all the way forward and vice versa. Don't stand up, right? You want to keep yourself nice and level when you shift. Positioning of the head, right? Chin tucked slightly down and looking in the same direction as your kamae, right? So if my kamae is here, I'm not looking over here, I'm not looking over there. I'm looking straight at where my stance is going. But the one big thing that I want everyone to watch out for with Fu no Kata is what happens to the arm that you're doing the uke with afterwards, right? Usually what you see is, other side, 1, 2, 3, and it immediately comes back to the hip, right? Now this could work, right? If we're analyzing the movement and we're looking at what this could imply, that could work, but from here, what you want is receive, slightly open up, and then when you step through, you watch where this arm goes. It actually stays out a little bit, right? So it's not actually coming right back to my hip. It's still staying in relatively the same position that it was, but here I'm essentially fixing the position of this arm in place and moving the rest of my body around it so I can deliver that Boshiken, right? So I don't want to pull that to my hip right away. I really want to initiate, shift, step, strike, and leave this ever so slightly out before I return it back to its original position. And now, for the very last one, we have Ku no Kata. So Ku no Kata is, I consider, the really strange one because it's the only one that ends with a kick, and it's the only one that really ends with you standing on one leg. Starts the exact same way. We're going to start with Shoshi no Kamae, initiate with Geranuke. The only two differences is that we're going to use our hands not necessarily for a strike, and we're actually going to end the kata with a kick. So Shoshi no Kamae, ichi, ni, san. I'm going to initiate by stepping and doing my Geranuke. I want that to end again at the same time. As I shift forward though, my rear hand, boom, is going to come here for what we call Mitsubishi. Right, so Mitsubishi roughly translates to crushing the eyes, could refer to some sort of throwing powder, caltrops, what have you, anything that you conceal in your hand that you can have coming out, right? So I want this coming up and out at just about face level. My weight shifted forward here, but I'm still trying to maintain as much profile as I can with the shoulders, and still looking at my target here. I'm going to deliver Zenpogeri before either returning to my original position here, or I can kick and I can shift into the opposite side position. So again, this time I'm showing from the side. Ich, ni, san, ich, ni, san, shi. Right? Or the other way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you can shift to the opposite side. Okay, so that about does it for my very first set of videos. So I hope everybody enjoyed learning ski, Zenpogeri, the Sanshin no Kata, and some of the basic stances. I'm going to continue, again, posting these as a public resource for everybody that wants to learn. Everybody stay safe, stay healthy, and check out our website, Hakubai-kan dojo.com. You can also find us on Facebook, Bujinkan Hakubai-kan Dojo Mississauga, and you can also find us on Instagram at Hakubai-kan Dojo. Right? ありがとうございました. All right, good work, everybody. See you again soon.